And we're back. Sorry about that, everybody. It seemed to run out of. There's a time limit apparently, which is just so bizarre. Hopefully, we'll get Josh back in a bit. We were busy talking. How great is this, by the way? How great is this? Here we go. There we go.
Yeah. Cool. So Mausoleum was where we were at. And yes, that for me is the hardest part to sing. Not just because of where it sits. It's also, I think, to do with the landscape of where we are on stage.
Oh, yeah.
Being so far back, sound doesn't, and high, so far away from the orchestra, trying to tune into everyone else singing so that you don't feel like you're delayed and singing behind them, or trying to stay with all of this, and then going, oh shit, I've gone too hard here. I've pushed up too much weight into my sound, and now I'm up shit creek without a paddle.
Oh yeah. Kristen, our musical director. I mean, I'm sure you know Kristen. She always used to say, when you don't take the weight up there with you. She said, "I need melody from you, not power," which is the best advice for that scene ever. Because you've already made a statement by hiding behind a crucifix during a girl's goodbye to her father. You've done the work. So yeah, it's a funny thing. Initially, I think I was trying so hard to get a mature sound up there and power, because we think power is booming and loud. Whereas if you, I know we shouldn't really say this, but if you do listen to what Crawford did, he didn't have the best operatic voice, but because he meant it so much and it came from such a deep place, it actually was powerful and just weird and creepy and like odd.
One of the most powerful moments in the show, I feel, is the final night in Music of the Night.
There is nobody who does it like him. He has here's a statement, he has the longest night out of all of us.
Because he would it's super powerful.
Just go on. He just let it go on and on and on, and all that dissonance, and then it resolved.
And ethereal, and that's what is powerful, and that is the antithesis of booming.
Yeah, so, exactly.
It's vulnerability. Is what's in, which is interesting. But yeah, Mausoleum. The good thing is when you are in a great spot and you got that nice tilt and it's just sort of floating out, you go, I have got the rest of this show.
Yeah. I mean, I used to only focus on B. Like, as long as B's there, everything else doesn't matter, and that's actually not true. Because when I'll tell you this, some of the greatest respect I have is for Norm Lewis. I saw him on Broadway, and I think Sierra had just left, and he was doing Music of the Night, and no, it started with The Mirror. And he went, insolent. And I went, uh-oh. I know that feeling. I know exactly what he's going through. He's got sinusitis. I know that crack. And he carried on. He got to, I have brought you to the City of Music Throne. You have come. And I was like, oh, mate, I know. And I could see in his eyes. He knew what was going to happen.
Oh.
And what happened was one of the most valuable masterclasses I've ever had from a fellow Phantom. He cracked 3 times on B. Not just little cracks, like severe...
what we call is a testy blowout.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo. Yeah.
And can I tell you, he didn't once apologize for it. He didn't make a thing of it. He wasn't thrown by it. And he got through that song, and the next scene, the morning after, when he was playing that organ, it had not happened. And that entire audience had forgotten, and I thought, that is a guy who knows exactly what this role is about. And he didn't reduce the role to a note. Idina Menzel had that wonderful conversation that I am not the notes I sing. There's more to me than that. When she had that bad Oscar performance, we all have it.
Yeah.
Norm Lewis got the ovation of the night after Music of the Night, because that whole audience just went, that is a leading man. That is a star. That is a
Yeah.
phantom. And, you know, he got to final layer and he was shot. But it's still one of the most beautiful performances because he did, it wasn't about that.
Yeah.
You know, it was so much bigger, and I will never forget that. I still, that's the most important phantom story I have, because, you know, you have other phantoms who beat themselves up for years, myself included, because they cracked once in Music of the Night. And that's so petty. Jersey Boys has this wonderful phrase, instant forgiveness, because, you know, the Frankie Valleys do some singing, and they're all encouraged to practice instant forgiveness. And they get told, you will crack. Somewhere along the line, you will crack. You have to let go of it as that happens and move on.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yep.
Have you ever cracked on it, though?
And on B, yeah, once with being sick. Yep. And it wasn't even a crack. It was just like, there's no sound coming out here. I'm just pushing through this.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Adrian Kirk, our music director, was like, I know he's sick. You know, music of the night is going to be a cheeky up tempo. So he just allowed to go through. And it was after that birthday performance. And that birthday performance taught me so much about identity, attachment, performance ego, all sorts of stuff. After that, I was like, this is as bad as it can get in my own head about a show. Nothing can ever be that bad. And that whole thing I said to you before, like, I'm just the custodian of this for now. Like, it really taught me about separation of self and ego within a role.
You are not your work.
And yeah, I'm not my work. I'm not even my voice. You know, I'm like many more things beyond that. You know,
I think it's up to us to have 3D lives as well, because I think there's a lot of theatre performers who are under the misconception that if they are that struggling bohemian, completely dedicated with, you know, and suffering for their art, that makes them a legit artist. That's actually not the case. You have to be a sustainable artist as well.
Yeah, both are their thing. What I did
whether you're Phantom
or
Valjean, you know, whatever, or Elphaba, or whatever, it's all the same thing. It's just balance.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I sort of go to is like, and this is maybe a bit woo-woo, but the voice for me is the vehicle for my soul.
Mm-hmm.
The soul is where the art is expressed from. It's heart, it's soul, that is the artful space for me. Mm-hmm. And the voice is just one vehicle for it. So if the voice isn't working, it doesn't mean the soul has died.
Yeah.
And the soul is infinite.
Yeah.
So it's just, today, this isn't working the way I would want in an absolutely ideal world that I've manufactured to be perfection.
Yeah.
And in fact, sometimes when it is in that perfect realm, it might be a great vocal, but it wasn't the same performance because I got so caught up in how good my voice was working that I actually didn't enter into this space as much as I normally do, or could have.
I mean, do you find that when your voice is a bit less than, you act well, you act far better, because you actually connect with the text so much more?
Exactly.
And that's why I think, you know, with Norm, he just connected into it on a level that was ethereal. It went past, he just dug so deep and he found something so real.
Oh, God, I wish I was there to witness that. I love that.
Oh, it was amazing. And I remember I was sitting there and I just thought, I wish I had a video recorder just to keep this, because it's every time I have those shows where I go, I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if this is going to happen. Something else takes over, and you start finding stuff in the text and stuff that you've never really considered, and you go with it, and maybe it's distracting yourself. But
it's
magic,
amazing. I love it when that happens.
And then those are the performances where even your colleagues say, wow, you're on fire tonight. And you're like, if you knew what was going on here 5 minutes before I went on stage. It's the funniest thing. You know,
but it's like a surrendering to the
I'm resigned to this, so whatever's going to happen.
And in the letting go, all the new things come. It's like when you don't try so hard, you're like, when you're in that great zone, so to speak, of feeling amazing, it's almost like you go, I'm going to do it this way because everything's sitting well. vocally.
Yeah.
So I have predetermined how I'm going to do this. And
Yeah.
there's a sort of, that's not art in a way. That's not acting, because
That's selfish.
yeah, but
You know,
we
you're
do
making
it.
your spotlight, but when you're scared about the spotlight on you, you actually turn it onto the story, which is
and the
amazing.
other actors and all sorts
Yeah.
of things. So it's all
Yeah.
these little psychodramas that go on with us.
If people
but it's also
only knew.
yeah. But it's an amazing insight, I think. It's also the reason, like the vocal thing and getting deeper beyond that is the reason why I can listen to Bob Dylan or Carole King and not think once about, that's not the best tone, or, there's no money notes there,
Yeah.
or, you know, like it's just pure storytelling in an incredibly connected way, you know?
Yeah, and I think
So
that's where
Bob
the
Dylan,
audience
as a
connects.
singer, you go,
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the worst singing voice. I'm not really singing. I'm just having a conversation. But it's amazing.
You want to listen, and I think that's always the case, you know.
Mm.
It's never the what, it's the how.
Yeah. Even like Mandy Patinkin. Like,
oh, I'm so glad you brought him up. I'm so glad, because I did Evita, which meant that I was listening to Evita cast recordings all the time. And, you know, Hal's production of Evita is very much darker than people realize. You need a real cynicism to get through it. And initially when I listened to, oh, what a circus, oh, what a show, I thought, what am I listening to? And then I saw footage of what he was doing. You have no idea what he is doing. Then I got his albums, where he does this amazing happiness medley of like Rainbow Around My Shoulder and Top Hat, White Tie and Tails and blah. It ends with a handful of keys. It is the most amazing vocal tour de force. And then he does Sonny Boy a cappella and rips your heart out of you.
yeah,
And if you see footage of the man, you know, everybody knows him as Saul from Homeland, but God, what a theatrical storyteller. And then you see him finishing the hat, and you're done.
Yeah. So I saw him live at a concert hall in Melbourne, maybe a decade ago. He's out there with like a sort of loose whatever shirt, jeans, you know, joggers from last decade, and just pianist. And it's such a naked stage, and his attire and everything sort of, it's like 2,000 people were in his living room, and he was just having a night out of storytelling. And it was one of the most profound theatrical experiences I've ever had. Like, I just couldn't get over his "If I Loved You." I was like, what? I didn't even know that that's where the song existed.
Yeah.
You've totally, reimagined this in a way. Like I was like, that emoji was like constant. So, and once again, it's not a voice that you go, like if you took that voice as a 19-year-old to a teacher, they'd probably go, hey, you've sort of got two different sounds going on here.
Yeah.
Let's try and connect them.
Yeah.
But no.
No, I think that's always the case when you find a unique talent that, you know, to whom the rules don't apply. It's just magic. I wish I could.
So many people we love are in that camp. I feel like so many great music theatre performers.
Oh yeah.
Which is great. It's their uniqueness that we adore.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Platt. Can we just have a quick moment about Ben Platt?
Oh.
He was that weird guy in Pitch Perfect. And then came Dear Evan Hansen, the perfect material for that kind of voice. And now that he's unlocked it because of Dear Evan Hansen, his original stuff is just like, I mean, his Radio City Music Hall concert is, wait.
Really?
Wait.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Friends of mine went and sent me a few clips. They shouldn't have, but they did. And it's a Netflix special now. I can't wait to see like a proper.
It comes out what, next week?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are not ready.
Really?
We're not ready.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be good.
Awesome.
Now, Mr. Piterman, I'm afraid I have to start getting ready in like 5 minutes or so. So
go, mate.
I'll do
this
one
has
last
been
question.
Awesome.
No, you do one last question. I'll do one last question.
Okay. this is my question. When did you first say to yourself, I can do this role?
I saw our original South African production in 2004, and I couldn't
Not
afford...
I want to, I can.
Oh, I can. I was doing Greece in 2010, and we were in Hong Kong doing the show, and auditions started going out for Phantom, and everybody kept saying to me, "You're a Raoul, you're not a Phantom. You're too young, just go for the Raoul." So I was doing a session, and I just decided to sing Music of the Night, and I'd never done it before, and I kept cracking on B. Kept cracking. I was like, oh God, I can't sing the song. And our musical director, Louis, just said to me, you've got to imagine that you're trying to sing like a violin, but you've got to remember you're a cello. And I remember something going, ah. And I sang it, and I held B for like years. And I looked at him, and I said, I don't think I'm going to audition for Raoul. And he just said, good. He knew I could do it. And that's when I knew. And yeah, it's, I haven't thought about that in ages.
Well, you're going to bring that into your show tonight.
I've got to text him later. I've got to text him. I've got to remind him of that story. God. Oh, okay, great. Bit of chills there. Bit of chills.
Yeah, good.
What went through your head during your first curtain call as the Phantom?
My family had come from Australia to see it. My London cousins and auntie and stuff were there. I had other mates, and there was probably my management. Lots of people were there, so it was about 15 people that were close to me were there.
Oh.
And for me, I normally, when things of intense joy are bestowed upon me, or that I feel, I get very emotional. But this was not like that. This was like, not relief, it was like a landing. It was like this work that I've done since maybe 2002, since I started playing in this space. This is I've finally and I took off then to start the journey, and I just landed, and it was a very peaceful feeling of sort of like a calm came across me that I'm like, this is it.
I love
this
that.
Is really beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah.
And could you see any of them?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, okay. Because I mean, Her Majesty's is small, you know. It's tall,
and they were like in the fourth row.
Oh, amazing!
And so that's
the best.
Everyone got up, but I could see them when I was in the Angel. So,
oh God,
you know, which I kind of like.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know,
that's kind of bloody perfect, quite frankly. But
go,
mate, I'll see you soon.
Ready.
Listen,
this has been
I'm
so
looking
good.
at coming to London later this year. So when I do, the first round's on me.
Done.
All right.
I like an Indian pale ale.
Deal. Awesome. See you, mate.
All the best, mate. Have a great show. Lots of love. Bye.
Thanks, man. Bye.